Here is a chart of the U.S. national debt for the same period. How interesting it is that the trends are virtually the same. For the more money there is, the more debt there is. The more debt there is, the more money there is. To put it a different way, every single dollar in your wallet is owed to somebody by somebody. For remember, the only way the money can come into existence is from loans. Therefore, if everyone in the country were able to pay off all debts, including the government, there would not be $1 in circulation. As dysfunctional and backwards as all of this might seem, there is still one thing we have omitted from this equation. And it is this element of the structure which reveals the truly fraudulent nature of the system itself. The application of interest. When the government borrows money from the Fed, or when a person borrows money from a bank, it almost always has to be paid back with accrued interest. In other words, almost every single dollar that exists must be eventually returned to a bank with interest paid as well. But if all money is borrowed from the central bank and is expanded by commercial banks through loans, only what would be referred to as the principal is being created in the money supply. So then, where is the money to cover all of the interest that is charged? Nowhere. It doesn't exist. The ramifications of this are staggering, for the amount of money owed back to the banks will always exceed the amount of money that is available in circulation. This is why inflation is a constant in the economy, for new money is always needed to help cover the perpetual deficit built into the system, caused by the need to pay the interest. What this also means is that mathematically, defaults and bankruptcy are literally built into the system, and there will always be poor pockets of society that get the short end of the stick. An analogy would be a game of musical chairs, for once the music stops, somebody is left out to dry. And that's the point. It invariably transfers true wealth from the individual to the banks. For if you are unable to pay for your mortgage, they will take your property. This is particularly enraging when you realize that not only is such a default inevitable due to the fractional reserve practice, but also because of the fact that the money that the bank loaned to you didn't even legally exist in the first place. In 1969, there was a Minnesota court case involving a man named Jerome Daley, who was challenging the foreclosure of his home by the bank which provided the loan to purchase it. His argument was that the mortgage contract required both parties, being he and the bank, each put up a legitimate form of property for the exchange. In legal language, this is called consideration. Mr. Daley explained that the money was, in fact, not the property of the bank, for it was created out of nothing as soon as the loan agreement was signed. Remember what modern money mechanics stated about loans? What they do when they make loans is to accept promissory notes in exchange for credits. Reserves are unchanged by the loan transactions, but deposit credits constitute new additions to the total deposits of the banking system. In other words, the money doesn't come out of their existing assets. The bank is simply inventing it, putting up nothing of its own, except for a theoretical liability on paper. As the court case progressed, the bank's president, Mr. Morgan, took the stand, and in the judge's personal memorandum, he recalled that the plaintiff, bank's president, admitted that, in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank, did create the money and credit upon its books by bookkeeping entry. The money and credit first came into existence when they created it. Mr. Morgan admitted that no United States law or statute existed which gave him the right to do this. A lawful consideration must exist and be tendered to support the note. The jury found that there was no lawful consideration, and I agree. He also poetically added, only God can create something of value out of nothing. And upon this revelation, the court rejected the bank's claim for foreclosure, and Daley kept his home. The implications of this court decision are immense. For every time you borrow money from a bank, whether it is a mortgage loan or a credit card charge, the money given to you is not only counterfeit, it is an illegitimate form of consideration, and hence voids the contract to repay, for the bank never had the money as property to begin with. Unfortunately, such legal realizations are suppressed and ignored, and the game of perpetual wealth transfer and perpetual debt continues. How can society ever be debt-free? It can't, and that's the point. And it is the fear of losing assets coupled with the struggle to keep up with the perpetual debt and inflation inherent in the system, compounded by the inescapable scarcity within the money supply itself, created by the interest that can never be repaid, that keeps the wage slave in line, running on the hamster wheel with millions of others, in effect powering an empire that truly benefits only the elite at the top of the pyramid. For, at the end of the day, who are you really working for? The banks. Money is created in a bank and invariably ends up in a bank. They are the true masters, along with the corporations and governments they support. Physical slavery requires people to be housed and fed. Economic slavery requires people to feed and house themselves. It is one of the most ingenious scams for social manipulation ever created, and at its core, it is an invisible war against the population. Debt is the weapon used to conquer and enslave societies, and interest is its prime ammunition.
The crisis is a crisis in consciousness. A crisis that cannot anymore accept the old norms, the old patterns, the ancient traditions. And considering what the world is now, with all their misery, conflict, destructive brutality, aggression, and so on, man is still as he was. He's still brutal, violent, aggressive, acquisitive, competitive, and he has built a society along these lines.
The real revolution is the revolution of consciousness.
What we are trying, all these discussions and talks here, is to see if we cannot radically bring about a transformation of the mind. Not accept things as they are, but to understand it, to go into it, to examine it, give your heart and your mind with everything that you have to find out, a way of living differently. But that depends on you and not somebody else. Because in this there is no teacher, no pupil, there is no leader, there is no guru, there is no master, no savior. You yourself are the teacher and the pupil, you are the master, you are the guru, you are the leader. You are everything. And to understand is to transform what is.
Αυτός βέβαια είναι ο μεγάλος δάσκαλος Κρίσναμούρτη, μια μεγάλη περίπτωση ανθρώπου που πραγματικά αξίζει τον κόπο να τον μελετήσει κανείς. Ελπίζουμε να μην το βρήκατε πολύ βαρύ ή δυσνόητο όλο αυτό ή κουραστικό. Νομίζουμε ότι κάθε άλλο παρά κουραστικό ήταν. Αντιθέτως ήταν ιδιαίτερα αφυπνιστικό για όλο αυτό που αποκαλούμε οικονομικό σύστημα και το πώς είναι ουσιαστικά κατασκευασμένο έτσι ώστε να μας κρατάει όλους με τον τρόπο τους σκλαβωμένους και σαν άτομα αλλά και σαν χώρες ακριβώς, και να ευνοούνται οι άνθρωποι, αυτοί οι πολύ λίγοι άνθρωποι, αυτή η ελίτ που ουσιαστικά ελέγχει και κρατάει στα χέρια του όλο αυτό το σύστημα.
Το παν είναι το χρέος. Η εξουσία
το παν είναι το
χρέος. Η σύγχρονη εξουσία είναι το χρέος.
Το επόμενο που θα δείτε τώρα μιλάει για την τηλεόραση. Είναι αποσπάσματα και όχι μόνο για την τηλεόραση. Μιλάει για την τηλεόραση, μιλάει για το τσιπάκι του μέλλοντος το οποίο έρχεται και είναι ιδιαίτερα ενδιαφέρον και αυτό και πως η τηλεόραση μας προετοιμάζει για αυτό το τσιπάκι. Αλλά κλείνει και με κάποια ωραία έτσι. Μερικές φορές όταν τα χαρακτηρίζουμε αυτά τα πράγματα φιλοσοφίες, εγώ ενοχλούμε. Δηλαδή, όταν μιλάμε για πράγματα που αφορούν τη ζωή μας, έχουμε φτάσει σε ένα τόσο κοινικό σημείο ζωής, που οτιδήποτε πεις που ξεφεύγει έξω από αυτό το πλαίσιο του κινησμού, χαρακτηρίζεται φιλοσοφία. Για μένα δεν είναι καθόλου φιλοσοφία όλα αυτά τα πράγματα. Είναι θέματα που απασχολούν τις ζωές μας, την ύπαρξή μας.
Πρακτική.
Μπορεί να εντυπωσιαστείτε ή να πείτε, μα είναι δυνατόν αυτά τα πράγματα να λέγονται μέσα από την τηλεόραση? Και στο σενάριο αυτής της ταινίας, το 1976 αυτή η ταινία, πολύ προφητική, στο σενάριο της ταινίας και αυτά μέσα από την τηλεόραση λεγόταν. Γιατί δεν αναφέρονται στην τηλεόραση ως μέσο, γιατί η τηλεόραση είναι ένα μέσο και ό,τι χρήση του κάνεις, του μέσου, αυτό το νόημα του δίνεις. Αναφέρεται όμως στην χρήση που συνήθως γίνεται στην τηλεόραση και έχει να κάνει με άλλα πράγματα και όχι με αυτά που θα ακουστούν τώρα. Απολαύστε λοιπόν και πραγματικά αυτό το κλιπάκι από την ταινία Network και από το Zeitgeist το 1.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do and there's no end to it.